The cell was not built for comfort. It was a perfect sphere of matte black alloy, seamless and cold, humming faintly with containment fields that pressed against the skin like an invisible weight. Light came from nowhere and everywhere at once, an artificial glow calibrated to a species that no longer slept the way it once had. She had been there for 73 cycles. Her name, once sung in harmonic resonance across crystal cities, was Caliph of the Ninth Chorus. She had been a speaker, one who translated thought into unity, who shaped diplomacy between starfaring civilizations. Now she was labeled Anomalous Entity 4417, imprisoned by the Galactic Concord for a crime they could not categorize neatly. She had spoken to humans. The Concord called humanity volatile primitives. A young species, technologically uneven, emotionally chaotic, and dangerously persuasive. Their ideas spread faster than their ships. Their words carried weight beyond logic, bypassing neural safeguards that had protected older races for millennia. Caliph had not believed the warnings. She remembered the first human she met, a diplomatic courier on a frontier station, smiling despite exhaustion, offering her a drink made from fermented grains. He had asked questions, not the calculated inquiries of a strategist, but genuine curiosity. What do your stars look like? Do you miss home? Do you ever wonder if the universe is lonely too? Those questions had stayed with her. When Caliph returned to the Concord Assembly and spoke of humanity, she did not speak in warnings. She spoke in possibilities. She said humans felt deeply, and that depth gave them resilience. She said they told stories not to dominate, but to understand themselves and others. She said they might be dangerous, but only in the way fire was dangerous, capable of destruction but also warmth, light, and transformation. The Concord reacted with fear. Within a cycle, she was arrested, charged with ideological contamination. Her voice, once amplified across galaxies, was silenced. Until today. The field shimmered, and the sphere unfolded into a chamber Caliph had never seen before. Angular, utilitarian, and undeniably human. A single figure stood beyond the threshold. He was smaller than most Concord species, fragile by comparison. No armored carapace. No bioluminescent threat displays. Just fabric clothing and tired eyes. I'm Elias Grant, he said, raising his hand slowly. Human linguistics specialist. They asked me to talk to you. Caliph studied him, her pupils dilating as she adjusted to the different spectrum of light. The Concord believes words are dangerous, she replied. Yet they send a human. Elias smiled faintly. Yeah, that tracks. They sat across from each other, separated by a low energy barrier. Caliph felt the familiar pressure of suppression fields, but there was something different here. Less oppressive, almost considerate. They think you were compromised, Elias continued. That humanity infected your cognition. And do you? She asked. He paused. I think you listened. That answer unsettled her more than any accusation. Over many sessions they spoke. Not interrogations, conversations. Elias asked about her people, her music-based language, the way her species remembered history through shared resonance. Caliph asked about Earth, about why humans wrote fiction about futures they might never see. Stories are rehearsal, Elias said once. We imagine worst-case scenarios so we can survive them. We imagine better ones so we don't forget to try. The Concord observers watched silently from behind layers of quantum shielding. They expected manipulation, emotional subversion, mimetic hazards. Instead, Elias told her a story. Not propaganda. Not diplomacy. A simple human story. He spoke of a lone prisoner on Earth centuries ago, locked away for speaking against injustice. How that prisoner had written letters from his cell, words that outlived his body, that reshaped laws, that changed how people saw each other. Words don't need force, Elara said quietly. They just need time. Caliph felt something shift within her resonance core. A realization she had danced around but never named. The Concord feared humanity not because they were violent, but because they believed change was possible. During the final session, the High Arbiters spoke directly, their voices layered and cold. Human Elias Grant, they intoned, your species is guilty of destabilizing influence. Your words demonstrate precisely why. Elias stood. His hands trembled, but his voice did not. You're right, he said. We are destabilizing. Because stagnation kills just as surely as war. Because your perfection has no room for mercy. Because you built prisons for voices instead of listening to them. Gasps rippled through the observers. He turned to Caliph. They can keep your body here. But they can't unhear what you've already said. The Concord moved to terminate the session. That was when Caliph spoke. Not in the harmonic language of her people, but in human speech. She had practiced for weeks, shaping unfamiliar sounds. You fear humanity, she said, her voice imperfect but clear. Yet it was a human who reminded me what I was created to be. A speaker does not enforce harmony. She invites it. Silence fell. For the first time in recorded Concord history, a vote was called not on punishment, but on reconsideration. The decision took cycles. When the containment fields finally disengaged, Caliph stepped out, not as a prisoner but as an envoy. The Concord did not apologize. Ancient powers rarely did. But they authorized limited human integration, cultural exchange, monitored diplomacy. Elias was reassigned, promoted, and quietly warned never to do something like that again. He did anyway. Years later, Caliph stood on a human world beneath an open sky, listening to children argue about which stars were brightest. She recorded their voices, their laughter, their unfiltered hope. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. They talked to it. And the galaxy, slowly, uncertainly, began to answer. Because one imprisoned being had listened. And one human had dared to speak. Years later, historians would argue about treaties, votes, and policies. But those who were there knew the truth. Nothing truly changed because of laws or councils. It changed because a single human spoke without fear to a prisoner the galaxy had already judged, and reminded her that voices were meant to be heard, not buried. Humanity did not arrive with fleets or weapons. They arrived with words. And the universe was never the same again.